Hello my crafty friends, it's Beverly here over at Crafting Chaos, and I'm hoping that you've had a very Merry Christmas and that you're looking forward to a peaceful and happy new year. As I put in one of my posts towards the end of my last video, it's now possible to download Canvas Workspace for Mac users, and I said I'd be looking at using this software on the computer or on my MacBook as it were, and having a look at how much different it is between what the online version is and the downloadable version. So I was just bringing a quick video to you with my first thoughts. Now I'm going to launch the desktop version of Canvas, and it launches in a very similar way. So you just go to the Brother Solutions website and download this if you haven't already done so. It's available for PCs, which it has been for many months now, and they've finally actually made a version that us Mac users can use. Now I'm assuming the buttons and everything else are in exactly the same place for a Mac as they are for a PC, and I was just going to have a look at how they vary. So this is the screen you're greeted with, and you'll have File, Edit, Layer, Display, Window and Help at the top as well. Now it seems to me that when we're looking them, we've got the usual sort of things in File, so a new project, open a project, save as if it's your first save for that project, import something from your computer, export an FCM or transfer an FCM file via the internet. Now I'm not quite sure what that one means yet, I'll be exploring that one in future. In the edit menu we've also got things like undo, to undo your last action, redo, cut, copy, paste, select all, deselect all, line operation whether you want it to be a cutting or a drawing line, resizing, flip, vertical and horizontal, align, left, centre, middle, top, bottom, process the overlap, weld, divide, remove overlap, subtract and create an offset line. Then your layers, seems to be pretty new, is that we've got this now option to look at our individual layers rather than just stack them by layering them down or up dependent on where you want them on the screen. And this is something that I think once you get to grips with it will be quite an advantage. Display, the fit to map option seems to have disappeared and has been replaced by this zoom to all objects to mat. So that would make, say if you had a few objects on your mat and you've zoomed in because you wanted to look at something in more detail, so you click on this zoom in and you zoom in, and then suddenly you want to think, oh, I want to view everything. Originally on the original software online you'd go view fit to mat, but this one you have to zoom all objects on the mat. And if you look, you should be able to. So by default the shapes comes as open, and they're all the shapes that you would normally see online. I can't see any major differences here. The only difference being that they've actually categorised them for you in squares, rectangle, polygons, etc. going down till you get to your other shapes. So that might be easier for you to locate different shapes. And also within the shapes you've got the same borders available, and also you've got the same words that are on the online version that you're all ready for you to use as a sentiment or a greeting on a card or a project. Now, so that you've got this off the mat, if you will, you can click this one which makes it float around so you can put it wherever you want on your screen, but I prefer, in my opinion, I'll just show you what that looks like. So that will float it. So when you click, oops, it floats it around so you can see it that way. But personally, I don't really like that option, and it's difficult to find once you've done that. So what I tend to do is leave it as is, close it from the float, and then so that I can have this bit of my mat free, you just click on this one here and that takes it away. Again, you can use the hand, which is here next to the selection tool, to move things around on your mat. So if we sort of zoom down and you want to move around, you click on that hand, and that will allow you to move your mat around and look around on your workspace like so. So there you've got, I'm just going to, this is how my preferred way of working it is, expanding it to the maximum it can be for my screen, and so that I've got a view of everything else that I might need. So now, like I say, with the hand selected, you can move things around up rather than or you could, if you wanted, use the scroll bars like you would ordinarily. But if you want to just move around quickly, sometimes it's easier to use the hand icon like so. Okay, so that's that one, and obviously this is your zoom, where you click on that and you will click where you want to zoom in and it will zoom in exactly in that place, or you can just do minus and plus here to make it zoom in and out. Then, so that's your shape one, that brings on your shapes with the basic shapes, borders and words, and click off it to go on. This would be your import FCM or FCG files from your computer. This is the tracing icon, so you choose an image to trace, so that's slightly different from what it looked like on the online. It looks more like the spades of a deck of cards suit pattern, if you will. Then you've got creating a path, which is just like we've had before, but in a slightly different place. And then that's a freehand path, so you can just draw swirly whirly lines if you wish. And you've got your redo and your undo buttons here, redo, undo, to delete it. Now, one of the things that I'm quite excited about with the downloadable version is the text icon, because once you've got this downloadable version, if I'm just going to go on the select for a minute, and I'm just going to delete a couple of these, so we've got a clean mat. When we click on text, we can see up here we've got the bold and the style of the font. And what I'm liking about this one is it allows us to type any font that we have on our computer. So I've selected Big Top, and I'm just going to type in Big Top. And you can see it already does that font straight away. And if we fill it with colour, it's already taken care of the fact that those holes aren't there. So we don't have to do that thing where we're actually punching all the holes out, because it's already done for us. We can resize it, we can change the text if we wanted to get one and to do something else, and you were going to put circus instead, like so, and it will change it so that it's the same height, etc., as the last word that you had in that position. So that's a really exciting feature that I think will help us loads. Some of them, one thing that I'm not liking about it, I haven't been able to find out what the shortcut for duplicating something is. The only thing I can find is if we do a right click and hit duplicate, and that duplicates. So the D key no longer works. Hitting D does nothing, which used to do a duplicate before. I am going to try to find out, but when you look at the layer and you can look at duplicate, there are no symbols to tell us what the shortcut may be. So that's maybe that it hasn't got a shortcut. You have to do it either by layer and duplicate, or right click and duplicate. So that will take some getting used to for me, because I'm used to using the D key. Okay, now it might be that when I look into it in a bit more detail, I might be able to assign a shortcut to duplicate. And if I do, I'll update you on that. Right, so that's what it's looking like so far on the basic sort of menus. And then if you look at this ribbon at the top here, whenever you're on sort of text, you can set whether you want it cut in our drawing, whether you just want the fill colour set, whether you want it filled or not filled. So you can set that here. Fill or no fill. One of these is no fill, and I've forgotten where it is now. So you can set the line colour to a colour, or you can have, you've got several options which we have in a Mac. I think it's slightly different in Word, but it comes up with a selection of different colours that you can select, various, or it brings up in this one different colours this way, or you've got the Apple colours, crayons, web safe colours and so on. So these are the codes that you can get. If you want a very specific colour, if you look up its code, that'll give you its 6-digit code for that particular colour, whereas 000 is black and FFFF is white. So if you wanted that one, you could make it white. And this one also, if you wanted, you could do white for that one, like so. And if you've got it selected, it's gonna, what have I got selected here now? I'm going to edit undo that one. Or if I wanted to colour this, if I go on my select tool again, select, and I wanted to colour it a particular colour to match something that I've already got. I've got this dropper tool that you've got in other applications you've seen, and it selects a colour from where you are and changes that to that colour. So that's another option. Or you can flood fill it white, which is effectively now no fill. And then we've got fill in black, lined in black. But again, if you wish, you can change the line colour to something completely different, like so. So that's that one. So you've got lots of things you can play around with. You can change the font whilst it's selected, so you know what it's going to be looking like on your screen before you even attempt to cut anything. So you've got an idea what it's going to be looking like. And you've also got character spacing, so that means you can either stretch the letters further apart or bringing them back closer together. So these are all things you could do it online, but it's not as simple to do. So that the text feature for me is one of the best upgrades that we've had. Now if I bring on a couple of things now, just so that we can explore. Another thing that I'm having trouble with is getting it to select what I want. It's just playing around with it and getting the feel of the new controls. That's there. We've got the adore now. I assume we can still fill. Yes, we can. And if we bring on another, not going to bring on a trace one, we'll do that in another video. Let's bring on a basic shape. So we'll bring on a couple of different basic shapes, and like so. So now we've got 3 basic shapes on the mat. So let's have a look at what this layers thing does for us, the layers button. So if you look down here, we've got this one which is properties. So if we select that, you can see properties, and again we can select whether we want to cut or draw, whether we want fill or whether we don't want fill, whether we want the line, what colour we want the line colour, what width the part we want, what kind of style pattern we want. Do we want a dotted line, a perforating line, etc. So you can choose, that's all down to you. Then we've got this edit button. If I select one of the shapes again, here we can edit the size, the width and the height, and this actually names it as width and height, so there's not any of that like sort of lines going on and you've got to try and work out which is width and which is height. Sometimes can get a bit confusing in the online version. You can actually fix a position directly onto the mat. At the minute you can see that that's minus 0.2 millimeters off the mat. If we move that to 2 positive, it'll move it so that it's 2 millimeters onto the mat, and so on. And there you can see the position. So that could be useful if you want to position something exactly in a particular position on the mat. And again, we've got this ability now to resize here. Incidentally, if you wanted, at the minute I've got mine set to millimeters, but if you prefer inches, you can go on display and unit and then select inches, and that automatically change it to inches. So there's definitely you've got your ruler if you want it on screen, so you can see, so to give you an idea of how long a shape's going to be. So that's going to be just shy of 6 inches wide, and it gives you more of an idea what it's going to look like in terms of shape and size. So you can resize in proportionally, height and width, scale by a percentage, which is new. I hadn't found a way to do that online. Again, you've got your flip, vertical, horizontal here, and the angle. And this one you just type, if you want to rotate it 90, rotate it 90. Edit, undo over here is always available if you want to change your mind, or if you want to flip it back and then rotate it and you want to go the other way, minus 90, take it back the other way. And again, you've got your undo button if there's anything that you weren't happy with. Again, you've got the facility here. Then you don't, none of this click, you can do both together, line up centrally and in the middle. So that's directly one shape on top of the other now. Just going to move that so you can see that again. If I select both of those, I can just go bam, bam, straight away. None of this to keep having to click twice. So that will be useful once I've got used to the actual buttons. And again, you've got your options to process the overlap here with weld, divide, remove overlap, and subtract, just like you would. And the offset line is here, so it again looks slightly different than it does. It gives you a preview of where you're at. And if you want it to go outward, inward, we can take it down to a minimum of 0.04 outward or inward, and that will show you the increments inwards that it's going to look like. And then you can leave as is, or set as a drawing line, or do whatever, and say OK, and that will have created an offset of that one. So if I just undo that again now, I've just gone too far. So again, offset, I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's more obvious this time. Say OK, and I click on the top one, and I'll just change the colour of that one so you can see that it has actually done that. And you can see now you've got that perfect border around, just like, and it's just there when you're on properties, ready for you to, when you're on the edit mode, all this is there ready for you, sizing, position on the actual map, X and Y coordinates, if you will. The width and the height, resize by a percentage, angles, flip, vertical and horizontal, aligning, centre and middle, left, right, top and bottom, and your process the overlaps and your offsets. So that's good. When you click that, all those are just there at your fingertips, ready to help you. Now if we look at the artboard, it says this is what they can view it as a 12 by 12, or you can click 12 by 24. You can have the ruler in inches or millimetres. You can show the ruler or not show the ruler. So the matte image, not the matte image. Snap to grid and have the grid space in 1 inch apart, or you could have it less than that so the grid gets smaller, or you can have it bigger than that so the grid gets bigger, and so on. So that's another feature that I believe to be new, because I thought it was just stuck at the 1 inch sort of grid spacing. I believe it to be that on the online version. Now the one thing that I think is going to be a little bit I'm getting used to initially, can still do a range and bring to the front and forwards and back one layer, which like obviously we've been able to do for still on that one. We'll still be able to send it right to the very back or just backward one layer, and then we could, so it's gone in between those two layers now, if you see. We can also, we could have, if I just bring that back up to the top, oops, select it first, that helps. So if I bring that back to the top or the front, what we can do is send it straight back to the back using send to the back, and that sends it right to the bottom of the layer. That's the bottom layer now. But what I'm really liking, and I think this will be really useful, is this layers option down this side here. So at the moment you can see this is the layer that you can see that the order of the are on the map, because the blue one's at the top of the map, followed by this one, followed by this one. If you see, that's the next one. Then we've got a couple of shapes that have been left on from a previous project, I think. So I'm just gonna, there's my door, and there's that final shape. So you've got those 4 objects now, and we can see what's on what. And if we just want to work on one, we can actually click on, I'll just show you that again. There's a a symbol here, you can either assign that layer to being a cut layer or a drawing layer, or you can toggle it on or off, so you can hide it. It's still there, but it just means you can hide everything that you're not actually working with, and then you've only got that one on the screen that you need to worry around. And then when you're ready, you can just click the eyes again and it'll bring them all back out again. And also, if you suddenly decide you want this bottom layer coming to the top, instead of clicking on it and going arrange and bring it to the front or wherever, or say you wanted it more in between the blue and the grey layer, so in there, instead of having to just bring it forward one and then maybe bring it back one and messing around until you get it where you want, you can actually just drag it using your mouse. So I've dragged that to, so now it's in between that one and that one, or I can drag it and leave it in between that one and that one, or I can bring it straight up to the top, or I can bring this one up to the top. So I can bring whatever layer I want to, and what I'm working on, I can bring that layer wherever I want it to be. So I think this is going to be brilliant. Like I said, you can set it to draw and cut each as it goes. So if we set that one to a draw line, that becomes a pen. So now that's a drawing line rather than a cutting line, or we can make it a cutting line. So I think out of the features that I've seen on this new program, the one that I'd say is the best is the layers. I love the layers. I think that'll be brilliant. And I think definitely up there with the layers is the text one, being able to choose without using the text converter software. Just select what it is you want to type in, and then you can go, you're away, happy Christy. I think at first it's not done it because it's typing it as it was, but then when you click enter, it's just there. And if we fill that shape, just to prove it to you again, all the lines are already knocked out, so we don't have to do all that messing about. I incidentally haven't tried to weld the shape yet, so that might be interesting. I'll just see what happens if we try to weld the letters together. At the minute they're grouped, so clicking on the edit button and try welding, and it just seems to have welded it straight away. So again, if we zoom in just so we can see where the lines had overlapped, to make sure that you can see it actually has welded that shape beautifully without any messing about. All the hassle of using fonts disappeared. So I think that's going to be a brilliant feature for the downloadable version. The only thing I would say about the downloadable version that perhaps it's going to take some getting used to, because there's a lot, it feels different. It feels like things are in different places and things are behaving differently. Obviously, instead of storing them in your FCM files into the cloud, which isn't taking up space on your actual machine, it's in the cloud, but obviously when you're doing it on your desktop, it's actually saving them to the hard drive of your computer, but they're usually quite small files, so it shouldn't be a massive issue. Obviously then you've got the issue of having enough space to download it in the first place to run it. It doesn't take much, but obviously you do need a few megabytes free in order to download and use the program. And there are things that I haven't explored yet. The image tracing looks a little different. When I've clicked on it and looked, and you choose a file, when you bring it in, it's a slightly different thing. You're looking at this and you just have to click on and then select an image to be traced and so on. And that's something I'll be exploring at a later date when I've have another try with the tracing feature, when I'm feeling a little bit more confident with it myself. Also, I'd say another one of the downsides to it is like some of the shortcut keys that we had online don't seem to work on the downloadable version, which is going to be, if you've used the online version for a long time, it's difficult to get out of the habit of using those shortcuts, but I'm sure you'll manage. So all in all, I think yes, it's made it a much better piece of software and a lot more functionality. However, it may prove a little bit of a challenge if you've not actually had much experience with software before. So in my opinion, we're going to do some like small sort of introductory stuff, how to do stuff, lessons, as we're going through this one, how to get used to this downloadable version, but also we'll carry on for more experienced users making projects. Now I'm just going to go on to a new project. I don't want to save the changes, so I'm saying don't change. And then I'm just going to import an SVG that I have been working on. So when I can get it, file, import from your computer. Why is it not letting me import it? See, already it's causing me a problem because I know I've definitely saved this. Now then, in downloads, and then in FCM, I say I made a new folder. That's the program. So I just need to think where I've actually go on here, because that might help me. So I did it from here. Users, Beverly Howarth. Oh, it's in documents, that's it, now I remember. FCM one item. Oh. Why is it not opening that? It seems to have saved it as something weird, which is a little bit annoying because it was quite a time-consuming piece to do, and I thought it had saved it properly. So let's try opening it, because it may be that they've got a different file name. Open. Here we are. Oh, it seems that they have a different file. They're not FCM files. They have a different format, and the ones that you've saved, you go into open and you find where you've actually saved them, and it's now a CW Canvas Workspace project. I would imagine that stands for CWPRJ file. So that's how we would do that. Now, how that would work if you wanted to, I assume we can export it, transfer FCM via the internet. Let's see what that, the registered machine is ready to download the transferred file from the internet. And it's gone to my machine. Oh, so I can send that machine is now ready to download, so I've sent that to my folder. Now, one last thing before we sign off. So that's one file that I was partly making. It's like a 3-dimensional Happy New Year. This one folds up, this one folds together, and it makes the Happy New Year in 3 levels. So this kind of comes in the middle, and where the fold lines, they score and cut where they cut, stick them down, and you end up with this Happy New Year, and there's your matting layers. So that's the file that I was planning to show you how to make. And then you can change whatever, like happy first birthday or that kind of thing, using the similar sort of an idea for your other projects. Now, the other thing that people, cancel that, so I just want to do that now and go online to the online version, because one thing that people were saying about the online version and the downloadable version, once you've downloaded it, you don't actually get to download all your projects, but your projects are still there, what you've actually made. So if you go to the download, if you go to the where you've got them stored, where you can go on Canvas New Project or My Projects, a Pattern Collection, and you hit this one to download that project, we can now download it too. And I'm going to save as, excuse me, and I'm going to put it in my FCM, even though now I'm aware that it's not FCM at all. It is actually a different file. It's, what did I say, CWPRJ. Okay, so we're going to save that there in there so I can find it, so I know exactly where it is. Now, what you would need to do then, so once you've downloaded it, I'm just going to close that down so I can come back to the downloaded version of the file, and I'm just going to go on a new folder. Don't save, haven't changed anything. And I'm going to import an FCM file. And it's this one I've just downloaded. Open it, and then you've got that file on your desktop, on your downloadable version of Canvas to use. So it might be a bit of a nuisance initially to get your files brought down, especially if you've got a lot up on the website like I have. Obviously you can see lots of mine, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are loads and loads of my files up there that I've worked on, but they're not lost, they are there, and you can download them in the way that I've just shown you and work on them in the downloadable version. And again, once you've downloaded them, you get all those shapes in different layers, so you can actually see where you're doing it and actually assign colours and so on, cut file and drawing files. It makes that so much easier on your layers palette. Okay, so that's it for my sort of introductory overview to the downloadable version of Canvas. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. We will be doing some simplistic sort of projects initially to get you used to the new sort of format, if you will, and I'll also try to do something a bit more involved for people that are a bit more advanced. So that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I'm looking forward to sharing my journey with the new downloadable version of the software, and I hope that it's been very helpful and beneficial to you, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.